Welcome to 5 Minutes of Momentum. These episodes are a short 5-minute burst of inspiration, motivation, and massive action. If you need that little kick up the butt to get things moving and to inspire you to take massive action, then every single Thursday I'll be sending you through a 5-minute episode to download, digest, and implement to finish your week off strong. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Welcome back to 5 Minutes of Momentum. Today I want to talk to you about not overthinking your content. It's a theme that's come up in Unstoppable Sales consistently over the last 4 months. And it's one of the things that I feel like causes people so much overwhelm and actually slows their progress and their growth. When it comes to your content, you want to get it out quickly. You want to stop overthinking it. And the way to actually stop overthinking it is coming back to a couple of core things. So firstly, you've got to plan out your content. Stop trying to create on the fly. That's when you end up overthinking it and then you put it off and procrastinate and don't actually get it out there. So you want to plan your content ahead of time. You want to start to consider, like, with your ideal clients, what's currently happening for them that you could speak to? What's the problem that you're actually solving and how can you speak to that problem? I find it's so much more effective to create more content when you're batching and you're creating content with a plan. Otherwise, we can get super caught up in overthinking it. This has also come out recently. One of my mastermind clients, she put out a story on Instagram sharing a celebration of one of her podcast episodes going like almost viral, where she got so many downloads from one podcast episode. And she was actually sharing the celebration of it on her stories. And she shared the reason why she thinks it went so well, and then also her approach to it and the way that she created the piece of content for the podcast episode. And I said to her, this can be a reel. Like, what are you doing just putting it on your stories? Like, this should absolutely be content for your reel. And she was like, really? I'm like, 100%. One, people want to celebrate you. So make sure that you share those celebrations for sure. And you want to expand your reach for sure. But that is such valuable content that people that are following you will also be learning from you with regards to the podcast and how well it's done and why it's done so well. So when you think about it, like, sometimes you need to consider, like, is this story also a valuable piece of content that I want to stay around? Because remembering that stories don't last long, they're 24 hours and they're gone. Whereas if you know that it's going to be valuable for your people, create a reel. It's not that hard, right? Create a reel, put it out there, and it can be simple as a bit of B-roll content with some text over the top. It could be just literally the screenshots of her story. Like, that could be as simple as getting a piece of content out there rather than wasting your time and trying to create this perfect reel. A lot of the time, the enemy of creating content on the fly is perfectionism. Trying to get stuck into, it's got to be perfect. I'm trying to make it the most perfect it can be. That's often what causes you to overthink. So if you're an overthinker, I want you to check in with yourself and be like, am I actually being a perfectionist here? And this is where you need to check in and say, hey, like, is this something that really needs to be perfected, or can I get it out there to serve the growth of my business? Most of the time, the reason why people are being successful or they're moving faster in the growth of their business is because they're willing to get it out there, do it now. Like, there's no waiting. Stop waiting on it. You're never ever going to get it perfect. Plus, you'll actually perfect it with the process of getting it out there, seeing how well it does, get the data from it, perfect it, and then post a similar thing again. So you can take the learnings from it and then turn it into a carousel or turn it into another piece of content. And I think that's one of the things that people go, well, I've already created content around that specific topic, so I can't go and create another one. Yeah, you can. Why not? Of course you can. Go and do it. That's what's going to make you memorable. It's also what's going to make you the expert in your field when you're having consistent messaging come out. So rather than getting caught up in creating all this new content, thinking that's the way that you're going to go viral, or that's the way that you're going to create the perfect piece of content that's going to convert a client, it's actually going to be the multiple pieces of content. It's not going to be just the one. So stop creating this expectation that that one piece of content is going to make all the difference. It's the 10, 20, 30 pieces of content that you've got to get out there. And if the overthinking and perfectionism is causing you to slow it down, then you got to check yourself and be like, hey, can this be 80% perfect? Get it to 80% and get it out there. The last little thing that I'll say on this is often the overthinking comes from comparison. So when you're getting caught up in looking at other people's content, where you're trying to get it perfect and you're looking at someone who is 5, 10 years ahead of you, or someone that actually has an editing team, or someone that has a social media team that goes and creates their content, if you're comparing yourself to other people that half the time you don't even know if they do have that, if that's slowing you down, then that's where I want you to refocus your attention, because more content out there is more visibility. right? If you just come back to that key piece, more content is more visibility. So allow yourself just to take it to that next level by creating more pieces of content and just simplify it. Simplify it for yourself and create before you consume. That's where comparison starts to kick you in the butt, where you're consuming first and then going and trying to create. I want you to create first. Come back to your ideal client, figure out what it is that they want to hear from you, and start sharing for them. No one else. Start sharing for them.